right, everybody, how you doing? Got a video for you today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things, help us out here. It really does help out. And if you want your chance to win a silver Zippo Mafia ring, become a Zippo Mafia member. And now let's get started. So first things first, you're buying a new Zippo. This is your first Zippo. You want to know what Zippo should I get first? And there's so many options. And to really answer that, you just got to figure out what you're going to be doing with it. So I'm going to go over with you some Zippos and some different finishes and different scenarios of what you might be doing with it. And we'll figure out from there what you're going to need. So now, are you just looking? Do you like the steel look? And do you like, you just want a beater, something cheap, something that's not going to break the bank, something you're not going to care to lose or scratch or whatever, and maybe just even practice doing some tricks? So first things first, you're not going to beat a brushed chrome. You're not going to beat that. It's probably going to be the best one for you. They are the cheapest and most ready available. The brushed chrome is already pre-scratched, so when the only thing you notice when you scratch it the opposite way, the pre-scratch comes across like this. Now they do make other models in the brushed. You can get a 41 replica. It only comes in a brushed chrome because there is the high polish chrome that you can get, but they don't offer it for the 41. And then you can get the brushed vintage look, another great trick lighter if you ask me. 41 and vintage look are great trick lighters. They're just very grippy. The vintage look, the square edges make it easier just for grabbing tricks and things like that and flipping it around. I really like the vintage look brush. Like the intro video, that's a vintage look brush. That's the Zippo I use in it. Now there's also brass, right? So you can get any kind of brass you want. There's lots in brass. I prefer an armor. It's just one of my faves. But so we'll move on from the classic brushed chrome. There's nothing really too important about that. And then we'll get into maybe different metallic coatings, different coatings that you can get. So there is going to be your Spectrum. That's another nice Zippo. There's going to be your Purple Abyss. That's another steel colored Zippo. There is your Candy Apple Red, another great Zippo. And there's your Black Ebony. This is not a black ice chrome. This is different. This is the Black Ebony. It's a very nice Zippo. And then there is your Black Ice Chrome. I don't have one out, but I do have one. Well, I guess I can show you. I have one available right here. So let me grab it. This is the Black Ice Chrome. That's more what that looks like. I just put a big fingerprint on it. This is my Niagara Falls one. So there's all different colors you can get. But the thing is with these colors is I want you to be aware of all this if you are getting these colors. Get the cheaper models. Don't get the more expensive ones, especially if you're going to be using a lot of pocket carry because these do scratch and the coatings come off. These are just coatings, guys. That's why I always say solid brass if you want an everyday carry for the rest of your life. Now, the toughest everyday carry you could have for the rest of your life, if you're wondering what it is, me and a lot of people all agree it's the 41 brass. You're just not getting a better hinge than what's on that 41. But we'll get to that when we get there. So now, if you like the color and you're just looking for that and you don't care what the shape's going to be in a few years or how it's going to look or fade or scratch, or you think that actually looks good on a Zippo, it brings a character, which it honestly does. So I'm glad you're in that book if that's what you're thinking. But any of these would be good for you. Just be aware of that. And the Candy Apple Red and the Ebony do have a coating on them, like a clear coat. So they get a little bit more extra protection. You could probably pocket carry the Candy Apple Red and the Black Ebony for longer than you could the other two because they don't have the clear coating. Now, I don't have it here, but there's also a Blue Sapphire. If you want to look that up, the Blue Sapphire also has a clear coat on top of it. So just be aware of that. Now, we can move on. We'll get these out of the way and we'll move on to the next subject, which is going to be just the brass. Just the brass. Any brass Zippo. So I got a few variants here for you of just different colored brasses. Now they are different styles. This is a 35 replica, you can tell by the hinge. 41 replica, you can tell by that hinge, and a vintage look. You can get the armor too, which I have right here. So these are the probably the four most popular Zippo, and I actually have them in order from popularity too. If you do your research, the armor is the most popular, 41's next, then the vintage look, then the 35 last. All popular in their own right for all good reasons. Now, these are all my customs. You couldn't buy one off Zippo like this, but I'm sure you can find something similar. But this is just a good example of how brass ages. Just looks good, covers a lot of scratches. Really love brass. You're not really going to beat that. Just a really great design overall. And so this is stippled brass. This is where like it's got a texture and it feels coated and everything like that. I really like it, and you can see it tarnishes black in the middle because dirt gets in those little crevices, and it just really looks nice. I like it. And then where it's like just polished brass, it doesn't really show scratches. You don't like see on her arm here, you don't see any really scratches or anything. Just when you get to the chrome you see that. So the brass is great at hiding scratches, looks good all the time. Regular pocket carry is going to keep it shiny, it'll keep it from getting black. Like in the polished areas, you can't do anything if it's like heavy divots, it'll just stay black in there unless you buff it. But brass is always the way to go. And I understand some people are like, oh, I don't like how it loses the gold luster and things like that. Well, you don't have to worry about that because Zippo now makes a street brass. They're $11 at Walmart, and they are brass, but they're clear coated. So you don't even have to worry about anything. It won't wear off for a long time. It'll always look like fresh brass. So check that Zippo out if you're interested. And then we'll move on to the next. So there's mats and crackles. For the mats and the crackles, you're gonna have a lot of options here. Let me get my crackle out here. My mats are already out. So there's a crackle, and there's a brand new mat. So the difference is the crackle is actually way tougher, I find, and it's way grippier. You can see that it's porous. Now this is a 41 replica. You can get the black crackle on just a regular Zippo. It doesn't have to be a 41, but the only crackle I have to show you is the 41. It was the only one I thought worth getting. Uh, it just really holds up. My dad pocket carried this for like a year, and you can barely tell. The hinge is a little pushed forward from him, but I can fix that and push it back. I just don't. I like keeping it the way he had it. Uh, Great friggin' Zippo right there. And like I said, I like the grip. You can do tricks on this all day. These are inexpensive if you want to get one. The 41 Black Crackle is pretty cheap. It's a good option. And then now the mat, also really good. And it's really smooth. It's really soft. It's really slippery. But the thing is, you can just take off this mat with acetone. It comes right off. You dip it in acetone, it comes right off. I don't like that. The old mats from the 90s, you can't do that too. They're on there really good. Now, if you were a mechanic or something like that, or your oil patch or railroad or something, you had greasy hands all the time, these would probably be good lighters for you because they'd never look dirty. So keep that in mind. But here's another thing about the mats you should consider if you're considering getting one for an everyday carry. If you drop them in the dark, you may never see it again. They just blend in with the ground. They're really hard to see. So there is that, and that's another advantage to going metal. But to each their own. There's really no issue with it. I think any Zippo is great. I really wouldn't care which one you're carrying as long as you're carrying one and you like it, and that's all you can ask for, really. So now we got that covered for the mats, and just to show you what some wear and tear on a mat might look like. So here's one. This one's from the 90s. It had to get the hinge replaced, but that's what's going to happen. It's just going to come off all the way around, all around the bottom, everything like that. It's just going to scrape off over time. It's bound to happen. It's not really a big deal. That's just the way it is, and nothing too serious. Now, You can also go 540s. The 540s are nice too, but they're just like another mat, and but they're really beautiful, and they got these designs all over. Absolutely love the 540s, but I don't carry them just because the artwork's so great. I don't want to damage them or anything like that. In the states, they might be cheap. In Canada, they're expensive. They're like $100 a 540. So I don't really feel like destroying those for no good reason just because I carried them. Now, keeping them in the house just on your table and things like that, and you're not carrying them outside or bringing them anywhere, you just have it on the table for if you need a lighter or something, then nothing's really going to happen to it. It's just going to stay looking good. So, keep that in mind what you're using it for too. And then that should move us right on to Armor Zippos. You're just not going to beat Armor Zippos. They are my favorite. I actually put them all away. So you got armor Zippos. You can get them in multiple different finishes. This is a rose gold deep carve. This is my custom you already seen. Then I got another one right here, solid silver. Can't beat that. Armors are where it's really at. I absolutely love these. Like I said, they're one of Zippo's most popular selling Zippos. There's no surprise why. They're pretty great lighters, and if you can get one, it's just a great everyday beater. My only thing I would say is don't do tricks on them. The hinge is notoriously weak because the lighter is heavier and it's just still the same size hinge that you would find on a smaller lighter, which is fine. It holds up well. Don't, it's got a weak hinge. You can't do anything. No, I've had this Zippo for years. It's been an everyday carry for years. I don't do tricks on it and it's fine. It just sits on there. Look, it's got just the same amount of wiggle from when you opened it brand new. It doesn't do anything. It's fine. If you use it regularly and you just use it normally, it's going to be fine. But if you're trying to bang tricks out on it, it's not going to be good for that. I recommend, like I said, the 41 is probably the best for tricks. So now, another finish that you might be curious about. The rose gold is actually really good too, by the way. Love the rose gold. It's pretty tough. But I just want to sit here now and talk about if you have the money to do this and you don't, I understand it's hard. Uh, but silver Zippos, I'm telling you, get into them while you can, because every year since I've bought my first silver Zippo, they have just been going up in price, and it just hasn't stopped going anywhere. Like the prices just keep soaring. Get yourself just cut the cord, buy the silver Zippo now. Spend the money now. Do whatever you got to do. Just spend the money now. You thank me later. You're gonna love your silver Zippo. I absolutely love them. Silver armor. I did a video where I weighed all my Zippos. This is the heaviest Zippo they make. It's the armor solid silver. It's the heaviest Zippo they make. Absolutely love this Zippo. I use it all the time, and you can see the lid wobbles, but it doesn't matter because it's not going anywhere. It's gonna be fine. Like as long as like I said, you're not banging out crazy tricks on it and you're respecting it, it's gonna be okay. You're using it normally, it's fine. But silver is just an amazing metal. It's nice and dense and heavy, and just look at the glow on it. You're just not getting that from a chrome Zippo. Like you put a chrome Zippo beside the silver Zippo, you really see the difference. And just like my silver ring and then my stainless steel chain, like you can really see the difference of what's silver, what's not. Once I highly recommend the silver finish, but just be aware too. It does scratch easy. Silver's very soft, but you take care of it. It's going to be okay. Now we've talked a lot about all the new Zippos that are out and everything that's available, but the one thing we got to get into is vintage Zippos, because vintage Zippos are probably your best bet. Most of the times you're going to find them used. It's going to be a little cheaper, which is big benefits to you. But they just don't make Zippos like they used to when it comes to the vintage ones. And I got so many good ones. I would say anything 50s, 60s, 70s, grab it. 70s, 80s, like even 90s, but don't overpay. People are overcharging for it. The most popular years for Zippos were those older years, so there's more of them than any other Zippo. Just find them in a lot. You get them on eBay. You can buy a lot of 20 Zippos, whatever. Really like the vintage ones. This one's like a 60s Niagara Falls. It was my grandfather's. Absolutely love the Zippo. It's got the matching insert. Had it my whole life. He had his whole life too. Really like that Zippo. And it just durability. In my Wayne video too, we found that the older Zippos are heavier. So, there's that too, right? So, if they're heavier, like the older Zippos are like actual armors almost. They're not that heavy, but they are heavier than a regular Zippo. So, you're also getting just like a different hinge. Like look at how thick that hinge is. Just look at the size of it. Now let's look at the hinge pin of a common one compared to it. Look at that. Look at the size of the hinge from 1952 compared to the hinge from 2005. It's night and day the size of the hinge. Like I said, vintage Zippos are going to be your best bet if you're just looking for class and durability and just a good story and a piece of history. That's what a vintage Zippo is. So, uh, so there's pretty much my video on all the different types of Zippos you can get. I hope it kind of helps you direct a little bit to what you want. It's so hard to choose, and there's so many nowadays. Uh, expensive always isn't better either. I just want to go that way. Just because you see a 360 cut brass for $250 doesn't mean it's better than just the regular brass that isn't 360 cut. They're all made the same, and what happens to them after down the line is just aesthetic, artificial. So what can you really do? But I hope that made some clearance on like what Zippo you might want to get for your first time and just what's available and what's out there. So everybody, take care. Have a good one. If you have any questions, ask me down below. I always reply. So have a good one.